Hello and welcome to Samsung's video content series where we talk to industry experts about construction. Today we're discussing greener living and how it addresses net zero goals. Today we have Oliver Novakovic from Barratt Homes. Barratt Homes, of course, being UK's largest home builder. And we have Paul Rickles from Watkin Jones, one of the most prominent builders in the UK. And what we want to talk about today is net zero. What does that mean to the construction industry? And we have two of the experts discussing that today. So welcome, guys. I think the key thing we want to talk about really is greener living spaces and achieving net zero. What does that really mean within the construction industry and the home building industry? Do we really need to do this?
So I suppose, you can unpack greener living spaces in numerous ways, but if we just talk about greener living spaces regarding to energy efficiency and net zero carbon, which has become critical, do we need to do it? Yeah, we're in an energy crisis. The bills for our customers are high, especially if you live in older homes. So that's really driving directly to their pocket. I think we need to do it because you've just got to look at the global and climate impacts we're seeing across, the world. And we've definitely got play our part in improving and the way carbon is reduced around there. So, do we need it? Definitely. Should we do something about it? Yes. And hopefully that's what we're going to talk to you today about.
Absolutely. And is the government supporting with the initiatives behind it?
Not as much as they could be doing, I don't think. There's obviously legislation there that we're looking at the moment. And I'll pick up on Oliver's side of things with regards to should we be doing it? Most definitely, because we've got people are becoming more savvy with regards to reduction in carbon, etc. Our clients, our investors, and obviously the end user as well.
And what are the key initiatives you guys are taking in as home builders?
So from a Barratt point of view, we were the first to set science-based targets related to ESG. And that very much means, you're going to reduce carbon in a very measured and monitored way. And that's rolled down through into our supply chain. Because actually we take a little bit of that carbon, much more is downstream and upstream with our customers and downstream with our supply chain. We've done some key projects that sort of put us right at the forefront of showing how important it is, which is the Z House and then the Energy Home 2, in partnering hundreds of suppliers. So, I think what we're doing about it is probably really bringing it right up to the forefront of importance, whether it's, in our annual report, whether it's the numbers and figures we're producing, or whether if you look at any of the work we're doing, highlighting its importance. But most importantly, talking and walking the whole language of sustainability. Instead of just like talking about it, we're actually doing projects on it, measuring them and feeding it back.
Absolutely. And sustainability is a key goal for nearly everybody in the market.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And as you guys build for yourselves, as well as so many other people in the industry, I think that's a key goal for you guys as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. We've got to show to our peers, our investors and our end users, we've got to show that we're actually doing something about this. Oliver mentioned their science-based targets. Watkin Jones are currently going through that process at the moment. We're doing scope 3 elements at the moment as far as carbon reduction is concerned. So again, addressing it via our supply chain is vital. We have to make sure that they buy into our ambitions as far as, because it's all very well and good us as tier 1 contractors and house builders pushing this out there, but we have to make sure that the subcontractors are coming along for the ride as well.
Absolutely. And connectivity seems to play a big part within this. When we talk about energy efficiency, we talk about sustainable build practices, and we're hearing a lot about connectivity being a key focus within the thought of home builders, thinking about the future trends of what home building is. And I presume that's at the forefront of your mind as well, to make sure you're hitting those markers.
Yeah. At the end of the day, everybody's got a mobile phone. If we can set something up on a platform for these people, for the customer, everybody's accepting of the way we can control properties now. But we're also looking at building management as well, not just the actual user of the actual property itself. So when we're looking at build to rent or student accommodation, how that can be managed as well. So for example, the student accommodation, if the property is empty, How is that actually managed? How can we turn off the heating within that pod or that set of rooms if it's not being occupied? So there's a full scope of elements there that we need to look at for connectivity to make sure that people can use it.
And you, as a singular home builder, would give a sort of a much different view on that, because with connectivity, it plays two parts, right? There's a very sort of zone towards one person, one home.
Yeah, so I think connectivity, it's early days.
Yeah.
And, when we built the Z House 18 months ago, I think I've spoken to you before about this. We put lots of different technologies in there, which is going to come. Got a ton of new technologies in homes. And I'll be honest with you, then we were told they'd all talk to each other, and they didn't. And actually, it's a complete mess for the customer.
Yeah.
So why are we doing this? We're doing this because of the first question you asked, because we want to help our customers reduce their energy bills, understand how they're using energy, and if anything, maybe make some money out of their home from the PVs and things like that, but also connect their washing machines, their dishwasher, everything to talk to each other. But actually, connectivity to me is it's done without them having to get involved. It's that simple that if they don't want to get involved and they don't have a PhD in IT...
Simplicity is key, basically.
So for me, we've got a little bit of the way there. We are seeing some hot water and heating systems come through, seeing what you guys are doing with smart things. We're definitely on that journey, but it's early days. There's a lot to learn from it. So... we've put a smart brain into one of our houses, and it does seem to allow the technology to speak to each other. And I think, there's so much to go at for this. So for the importance for me is we've just started now offering a sort of smart basic brain in our home, whether that's heating and hot water. You've got the camera doorbells. Yeah, you've got cameras, security. These are all the things that are important. Bills are important. So I think it's very early days in connectivity.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we said, it's got to be simple. The system, the platform has got to be easy to use. Certainly with our products, like Oliver said, we have technology there, but not everything's speaking to each other. So we need to be able to do that and bring that together.
And that's what we are sort of looking to do, learn from you guys and bring such products to the market that can talk to each other. Seamless connectivity is really what we're looking for. In addition to that, we are now looking at artificial intelligence, which plays such a key role within learning customer habits, and can be utilized, things like that, to make lives a little bit simpler, a little bit easier. Of course, under the umbrella of energy efficiency and carbon reduction. So those small little things, I suppose, make a difference. Now, from home builders' point of view, construction companies' point of view, I think the future of how you build and to incorporate these technologies, I suppose, that is and will continue to remain a key marker on how you build.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll just go back onto your AI side of things. I think that's going to be the next level that we get to as far as building-wise, learning what the actual building does.
Yes. In
respect of heating, water, etc., monitoring, and seeing exactly how people live within the actual building as well. Now we've all done testings previously on how people live. Everybody's is different, but if we can pull that together and monitor exactly how people are living, it will enable us then to adapt our buildings to suit the end user. So everything should be full circle as far as this is concerned that we're actually doing. We're not just bolting things on because it's the latest fad.
Yeah, for me, the key word here is open source.
Mm-hmm.
So, because we've got lots of different technologies, different manufacturers, yes, I know you guys cover a lot of it, but you don't cover it all.
Yeah.
And also customers have to have choice. I might put something in that, but they might take it out and put it in. And I think, like we've seen with house builders and other people in the sector, we've got to start working together and recognising that, we're not going to have a world where every house ever built in the United Kingdom is done by Barratt, because we couldn't do that. We're not going to have every house having Samsung in every.
Yes.
It's just not going to happen.
Yes.
So actually, I think the world's big enough to fit us all in there to partner. Tech is an important part of that journey, and that's why we're looking to partner. We're doing test houses to see how we combine your drivers and opportunities with our drivers and opportunities linked to our customer, government and other things to get actually a better outcome.
Well, what we're also finding, obviously, with the student accommodation is the parents' involvement in respect of choosing that student accommodation. How green is this? How is it going to look after my child? And what we're also looking at now is we're looking at a lot of this student accommodation. The way we're having to design it is round a hotel sort of feeling, where we're designing these buildings and the actual rooms themselves to be airy, light, etc., accessible as well. And whatever we're putting in heating-wise, water-wise, is energy efficient across the board. So that's, and again, for us, material-wise, it's about standardisation.
Of course.
Not just pulling things in from everywhere. It's actually standardisation of that product.
To improve efficiency, of course.
Improve efficiency, maintenance, warranties, if we have to do a refit or anything like that. So it gets passed on to the management company as well, that they're aware that they can get hold of these products and refit them as required. So that's a prevalent one for us. That is part of the sustainability journey for us as well.
So there's so many ands and so many reasons to do this. When you actually thinking it as me as an engineer in its simple form, you think, well, we've just got to keep going this way. And then you add your connected things,
Yes.
And then what you're connecting your shower, your washing machine, your dishwasher, your fridge. All these things use, some sort of water or energy. And all of a sudden, you've got this water journey in a home for someone that helps them in saving water. And I think that's why we all have to play our part in that.
Absolutely. I think the visualization of the journey, what you can do to do things better at home, that coupled with companies creating a product that can help you along the journey, I think that might be a winning strategy, I suppose. A tricky one, but a
very
one.
tricky one, because people don't like being told what to do.
No, they don't.
And that's the biggest issue I think we've got, that we don't like being told what to do. But if we've got a product there that will do it for us, without us even having to think about it, even better.
And if we talk about sort of this government initiative of reduction of gas boilers, a very, very important point that I know you guys both are working towards big goals on this. But it's a sticky one. It's a tricky one for home builders, for, large developers. How are you guys combating that?
So in some ways, it's not too tricky, because if you look at Norway and Sweden, 8 out of 10 people use air source heat pumps.
Of course.
Which is the primary approach, but there's ground sources on it. So the technology's out there. The tricky bit is that we haven't done them before.
Yes.
Therefore, our trades aren't capable and are not trained to do them. So we're going to have to go from not quite zero, but 20, 30,000 low carbon heating systems to 600,000 if you include the refurb market. And you've got to do that in a robust way, because the one thing we don't want is our customers to be concerned that something doesn't work. You don't want the newspaper article that says, I've put in this technology and it doesn't work.
Yes.
You want the opposite.
So people don't understand. The UK public, of course, don't understand it. We're used to gas boilers. We've had them for many, many years. It runs at a certain temperature. We touch our radiator and we go, oh, it's hot now. That's a big shift change for air source heat pumps within this market. And also the worry always is, what happens when it breaks? So that's where the trade part of what you're saying comes in.
We've had no complaints.
Good.
Happy customers. Yeah, because we've spent every few months we have a session in the show home where customers come to learn how to use their air source heat pump.
Right.
We talk to them about radiator temperature. We talk to them, and we've got varying, and they're now talking to each other. One says, "Oh, I keep my heating on all the time, and these are my bills." And the other one says, "Well, actually, I do morning and evening." And they start debating which is the better. And you think
that covers your competition point from earlier.
this is a bit of,
exactly.
Well, people are naturally nosy.
I think on the build to rent and student accommodation, though, it's a slightly different aspect there.
It is, yeah.
Because obviously we're looking at centralised systems. We are trialling air source heat pumps at the moment. I mean, we've got a home section within Watkin Jones anyway, which we've obviously looked at the air source heat pumps with yourself. We've had, especially building in rural areas, the issues with regards to supply, electricity supply, etc. If you're building small developments, you have to put a substation in, because obviously we're not just looking at air source heat pumps, we're looking at car charging capabilities on properties now as well. So we have to lift the amount of electricity going into a development. But what we're also doing as far as the student accommodation and the build to rent is we're getting, unfortunately, restricted with regards to district heat systems.
Yes.
Through councils, which unfortunately have a tendency of coming in at planning stage. So we have no choice in that matter. Now, we are looking at how we can address that. Is it a sustainable way of going forward as far as the development's concerned? But we are being caught out by that, unfortunately, that we have to fit in with that district heat system. But there are alternatives out there. We will look at air source heat pumps if it will work for us. And I think every development we review it. If it works, we'll put them in. If not, we have to look at alternatives, unfortunately. But I think it goes back to that guidance on building regulations, doesn't it? There was just so little guidance.
Absolutely. And I think what we're finding more and more now is there's a big education piece that is required to, of course, the industry as well as the end user. As long as they're aware of there are products out there that can help them be greener, that can help organizations like yourselves build quicker, faster, greener. I think together we can all reach the goals. How does connectivity, how does it help identify areas of improvement like sort of energy waste and heating waste and things like that? How do you guys manage that part?
Currently, we're obviously managing it via management companies.
Okay.
We are reviewing any sort of energy bills, etc., to see exactly how people are using the properties themselves. Accessibility to that sort of information can be quite difficult. So, obviously GDPR and what have you, we've got to be very careful what we're actually asking for. But we do ask people to obviously provide information if they're willing to. And that's the only way we can really do it at the moment as far as we're concerned.
And what about user feedback? Do you get to capture that?
We do. Yes, we do that through management companies again, where we'll do surveys, etc. A lot of the stuff to do with surveys, though, at the moment is more to do with how they feel within the actual property itself.
Sure.
Not to do with how much electricity or gas they're using, because student accommodation, a lot of it is wrapped up within the actual rent anyway. But we certainly are getting a lot of questions back at the moment.
And I presume the same for you guys as well?
Yeah, sort of slightly different. So if you look at from an industry point of view, the collecting of data due to GDPR by individual companies is difficult. But what you do get is larger energy companies and specific research projects getting that kind of data and aggregating it so that we can look at it. So we're getting a better understanding of the type of energy that's being used in a home and how it varies relevant to who's living in it, the type of building that it is. Now what's important in that is that when you get that data together, you've then got to do something with it.
Data we can collect quite easily is what we use.
Yes.
As a business,
yes.
When we're building these properties and putting these properties together, that is quite an easy one that sometimes is never thought about, exactly how much energy we're using to actually build these products.
Of course.
So we collect that on a regular basis. We know how much gas, water, electric we're using to build these properties.
Of course. And I think sort of a big debate that continues is new build versus refurbs. Mm-hmm. And what kind of sort of opportunities are there to promote sustainability within sort of reuse of materials, things along those lines?
Yeah, I've never seen it as new build versus refurb.
Right.
So they're quite different sectors.
Of course.
But they use very similar technology. So I actually see that we've already started doing a lot of learning. So if you look at it from a broader point of view, a lot of the people that are on this Future Homes Hub are both in refurb and new, but lots of companies, especially contractors, are in that. We, just through the approach of house building, one of the things we do is we do buy houses off a lot of people, their old homes, and look at them, and we're starting to look at what we might do there. What should we be doing to inform and help that sort of that exchange of when you're going into a new home, so you're going to really reduce your bills, but what should happen to the people moving into the older home? So I think, the benefit to new build is we sort of start with a blank piece of paper.
Yes.
All of our suppliers, whether they're merchants, air source heat pump companies, wastewater heat recovery companies, they're feeding that all the way back into refurbishment because they're looking to help and sell their product, and they see both markets. So definitely not versus. definitely joined up thinking, helping each other, because actually we need the volume of refurb to drive price in new build.
Of course. And I think what we're trying to achieve with what we're doing today, sort of getting peers together to talk about it, I think what we're quite interested in learning is, what opportunities exist for developers and peers to collaborate and leverage from each other's learning to create a better product and get closer to the goal of net zero. I think more of this kind of stuff needs to happen.
Yeah,
exactly that. And a very similar sort of side of things. We've all worked in silos previously.
Yes.
And what we need to be doing now is working together. And events like this and other events that are being obviously brought forward enables us to discuss these sort of things. We can talk about, we're looking at a certain air source heat pump, or we're looking at a certain this, how have you found that sort of thing? And there is a commercial entity. There'll always be a commercial entity there to any business, but we're sharing that information. It's no different than 20, 30, 40 years ago where, boilers were being put into houses. I'm sure that conversation was being had then, but we've got to now push that forward now for sustainability.
Absolutely. That's really encouraging to hear. I think, to have that sort of collaborative approach where all the industry to a point is working together towards a common goal. I think that's really, really what we should be doing.
If you need to be, which is what we've recognised, you need to be maybe the first to do it.
Yes.
Because no one, everyone's sort of sat back waiting to see who's going to step over the line first. It's that classic children situation where everyone stood there waiting to see if anyone else is going to jump in the water. And then one person jumps in the water and then they all follow. Now, I mean, for us, the Energy Home 2 that we've just finished, which is, basically a house of the future, we invited all of our competitors to come and have a look with Bellway. So us and Bellway,
yes.
So two competitors, have built houses next to each other, are testing them together and sharing information, which they will then share with industry and government.
I think it's also about bringing everything together, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's so much product out there.
There is.
So much product. To bring it together and see how it works together as a unit, not just how it's working within the actual, but how it's built. How does a trade deal with it, etc.? And air source heat pumps, exactly what you said about the air source heat pumps, with having to train up the actual trades to do that. So, it's bringing it all together and making sure it all works.
Yeah, and I think because you've got a captive audience, you understand what people's requirements are. That helps manufacturers like us learn as well, create better product, bring the right things to the market.
So from a customer research point of view, we've been, probably about over the years now, growing more and more. We're doing much more customer research. We are, and the industry is.
Yes.
But importantly, we're asking for your customer research, the kitchen guys' customer research, because we're trying to gather it. What's coming through strongly is that sustainability and energy efficiency have gone way up. They used to be quite low, they're high. We know customers are considering spending more for sustainable technologies to save energy. We don't know quite yet, because we haven't tested it yet, how much they would do that, but we know they will spend more on that. I think that's just where the industry's going.
It's not white noise anymore. People are actually listening to this and are actually pushing forward with this, which is great for everybody. And that's from the very top of these businesses now. Because if your exec board is bought in, everybody will follow suit in that regard. And as long as that's happening, we will, we can do things sustainable.
And I think this is where technology plays its part. Of course, we have all these things that talk to each other and what have you, but can they talk in a cohesive manner that I don't need to go and press buttons to do it? It just happens because it understands the environment it's in. My window's open, I'm going to shut the heating off. It's the sun's shining, I'm going to put the blinds down. And you don't have to go and do it. It just happens because it understands what's required. And this is where, of course, artificial intelligence comes in. And, there's so many things working together that create that perfect environment.
So we've got the infrastructure, we've got the student accommodation, I build the houses. You bring the tech.
You
We'd
bring the
love to.
tech, and it's not
And then
overpriced.
Yeah, and we
and
will.
we'll-
We'd
There's
love
always a
to.
commercial
See,
entity.
there is-
there
will
always
always
will
be in
be.
a commercial, as you
There
know.
will always be a commercial part to
You
it.
bring it to us, we will use it, we will test it.
Of
That
course.
is exactly what we need to do. We need to put test beds in like you've done up in Salford, check it, test it, monitor it, and then we'll roll it out. Every
challenge
single time.
accepted, yeah?
Absolutely.
And
So
we're
it's on
looking
film.
forward to that. It's on
Challenge
film now.
accepted,
It's on film, and
so
everybody's
we're ready.
watching, so
Yeah,
we've got to make sure it's done.
Yeah.
And then people go to see it. They see it working. They kick the tyres.
Of course.
Because that's the problem. It's, you know, and in fairness, I came and visited, you know,
Yes.
your centre. And that helped a lot. You know, I saw the fridge and I started, you know, I put things together. But I think then when we put it in a house and put a customer in it,
Absolutely.
and I'm sure you're the same.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we're
So-
testing things at the moment. So, you know, that's exactly what we try and break things. That's the first thing we try and do. Can we break it?
Yes,
Because if we can break it, a customer can break it.
of course.
And how do we repair it? So there's things like that we have to do.
Which is a key part of
Absolutely.
sustainability, right?
Sustainability.
Paul, Oliver, thank you very much. Lots of learnings there, and we're looking forward to working together with you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Please visit Samsung.com to view our other episodes in this collaboration series.